Philippines market. And then finally, I will round off this short presentation sharing some insights from customers of SailPoint here in the Philippines, talking about how they're using SailPoint. All right, and then we can break for some Q&A. But I'm casual that way. Feel free to stop me anytime if you have burning questions you want to address. So here we go. Some context in today's digital world, especially post-COVID, the acceleration of digitalization and digital adoption, that has spun up a whole bunch of new challenges in the enterprise space. Right, the complexity is compounded by these three factors: the volume, velocity, and variety of threats in the cyber landscape. When I say volume, we're seeing a lot more identities, we're seeing a lot more cyber threats, we're seeing a lot more regulation. Enterprises, if you are head of enterprise, you're head of a bank, head of a telco, this volume is what you need to deal with. And also the variety. The variety in the old days, it was your employees coming to work, tapping a car pass. Today, they have digital logins into SaaS applications. I had the privilege of speaking to some of you, and we're talking about applications access anytime, anywhere, from any device. So the variety of identities has exploded as well. Beyond humans, beyond employees, we're seeing a lot of enterprises leverage third parties. They outsource services. So a lot of those identities may not even be employees. They could be third parties. And a lot of those third parties and employees are only limited by the access that they have. Today, you also see machine identities, machine accounts. Enterprises are creating bots. Enterprises are doing a lot of robotic automation. And in achieving those automation, identities are required to access data, to access applications. So the variety of access of identities is also exploding. And then finally, the velocity. The technology cycles are shortening. The technologies is evolving with the advent of SaaS applications, SaaS technology. The change is rapidly and driven by AI adoption as well. A lot of applications and services are evolving into digitalized form and powered by AI, evolving even more rapidly. What does that mean? I'll zoom in on a few key things, right? I mean, there was a lot in there, but employees traditionally, and then the explosion of applications and data, especially on the cloud, right? On SaaS, folks can access data applications from anywhere on the cloud, on premise, in the enterprise owned data centers, in the third party data centers like AWS and Google. And then you look at third parties, outsourcers, vendors, contractors. Those are identities that enterprises have to deal with. Machine accounts becomes very prominent. And then agentic AI agents, the hot topic of the day. Many large organizations are piloting and perhaps on the cusp of launching digital agents to drive productivity, to drive automation. Now, those agentic AI agents, those agents also need access to data and applications. Some of these data applications are very sensitive, very confidential, needs to be protected. Who is managing those agents? So that's the trend that we're seeing, and it's rapidly coming at us. We see that across the globe, we see that across the region, we see that here in the Philippines. And I talked about the myriad of applications that employees, the workforce is accessing today. I think maybe 10 years back, you wouldn't be communicating so much by Slack, right? Today there's Workday, and there are the AWSs, there are the Google Clouds, and the likes. So the explosion of applications and the type of applications that you access is also growing rapidly. In the identity security space, if I were to draw you back to the context, essentially what we do is ensuring that the right identities have access to the right resources at the right time for the right reasons. No more, no less. In cybersecurity, that's least privilege, making sure that the attack surface for cyber criminals is limited. So we want to minimize this. We want to minimize the threat surface, and if a breach does happen, we want to minimize the blast radius. And the startling statistics, working with a third-party agencies, we interviewed decision makers, IT leaders, business leaders, and 90% of respondents indicated that they had experienced an identity-related breach in the last year. Staggering. Enterprise identities are being stolen through phishing attacks. You hear about ransomware. These compromised credentials are leading to breaches in enterprises, leaks in data, a real problem. But the same set of customers or accounts, enterprises that we surveyed, indicated that only 40% of them actually have a proper security posture in place to deal with the threat of identity theft, which suggests that we're only at the beginning. The problem is here, the problem will grow. Our reason for being at SailPoint is to help enterprises manage secure, dynamic, real-time access to critical applications and data for every enterprise identity through our unified intelligent platform. Every enterprise identity. I talk about human identities, I talk about employee identities, I talk about third parties, I talk about machines, and I talk about agentic AI agents. That is at the core of what SailPoint does. And we do this through our identity security platform. This is a platform built on the Atlas. This identity security cloud solution is built on the Atlas platform. It has AI ML baked into every part of the processes. It is extensible. It's driven by workflows. It helps organizations understand the access in their organizations, manage that, minimize the attack surface, minimize the blast radius when data breaches do happen. So the identity security cloud platform from SailPoint is built on the Atlas platform that drives all of those components into every enterprise identity operations. And if I were to give you some numbers just to get a head around the scale of the problem, right? Maybe a large enterprise with 10,000 employees, and in the enterprise, perhaps 1,000 applications, 200 to 1,000 applications. That's 20 million combinations. And within each applications, if you were to limit the access down to entitlements, just because you have access to SAP doesn't mean that you have access to everything in SAP. If you break that down to entitlements, the permutation goes into the millions and the billions of different combinations of access. And how do you answer the question of whether the right resources have access to the right identities have access to the right resources? That's what auditors are coming after enterprises for. Do you have over-provisioned access in your organizations? Do you have dormant accounts where you have an employee who perhaps have already left the organization, but their access to the SFPC or the SAP systems is still active? If you study breaches and you look at the root cause analysis, many of those breaches arise because there was an account that was sitting in there. The employee had already left. It was still active. Somebody stole the credentials, accessed, pulled data, and leaked it. That is a real problem. The Atlas platform, powered by machine learning, helps enterprises deal with this complex problem that has become humanly impossible to address. If I were to go back to why is SailPoint uniquely qualified to address this identity problem? SailPoint today, our CEO is still the founder. Our founder is still the CEO of SailPoint today in Austin. We started in 2005, 20 years ago, focused on one thing, and one thing only: identity. Making sure that identity is secure, is managed, is governed. Back in 2007, SailPoint literally created the category of identity governance. That was in response to a regulatory requirement, Sarbanes-Oxley, Post of Honor, if you remember. Sarbanes-Oxley, there was a lot of governance, there was a lot of regulatory requirements. Enterprises were under pressure to do a lot of regulatory reporting. The SailPoint solution helped enterprises address that problem. And then a couple of years later, we incorporated automation into governance. So instead of just reporting, we also said, why don't we help enterprises automate the provisioning and deprovisioning of access? When a new employee joins, provision access to 5 applications. When he leaves, we decommission, deprovision all those access. And that was what started the whole IGA way: identity governance and administration. So identity has got many names, and it could mean different things to different people. Some people call it identity security, some people call it IGA, identity governance and administration, some people call it IAM, identity access management in there. But it all started from governance. And then it moved to administration with automation. SailPoint started that category. We remain the category leader in this space. And we've not done it by sitting on our laurels. We constantly innovate ahead of the curve, making sure that we help enterprises secure and address cyber threats today and well into the future. What did we do? In 2013, we brought identity from a software on-prem onto the cloud. A SaaS offering unlocked new innovation, unlocked new features and benefits for enterprises. In 2017, we were the first to market by incorporating AI/ML into identity operations. Because guess what? The bad actors are attacking enterprises using advanced AI/ML technologies at speed and at scale. While many enterprises have not uplifted, have not enhanced their own systems with the same AI/ML technology to defend against those threats. SailPoint brought AI/ML into identity security back in 2017, before AI/ML was even very much of a thing. So we were pioneers in all of those. And as we get into 2020, that evolution curve has just accelerated. In the last couple of years, we launched Identity Security Cloud, the Atlas platform. We looked at data access security, because gaining access to data in a structured manner on applications is easy to control. But once you take that data, you put it onto an Excel file, you put it onto a shared drive, they become unstructured data. How do you know that the confidential information that you pulled out from your finance system sitting in an Excel file that is stored on a Google Drive is safe, is controlled, is accessed? So unstructured data access became something of a problem for many enterprises. And as we get into, as I mentioned earlier on, as we get into third parties, a lot of organizations are keeping very lean workforce, outsourcing most of their operations, using contractors, vendors, third parties. A lot of organizations automate their internal operations. They build a lot of RPA bots, service accounts. They use cloud SaaS applications. They automate. Those identities became very much a problem for enterprises to deal with. And at SailPoint, we're constantly thinking about how to solve those problems. So we come up with solutions for third parties. We have solutions for unstructured data access controls. We've launched agentic AI. So agentic AI is an evolution of generative AI, where we were using AI to do modeling, and then we use AI to analyze a lot of data. We use AI to make decisions. And in the agentic world, agentic AI is essentially just AI with agency. They're also even able to make autonomous decisions and execute on it. How do you control access to those agents? Those are big problems that SailPoint is working with some of the largest and most complex organizations, address today. And AI, I know every technology vendor, everybody talks about AI. AI is real, it's not marketing for us. At SailPoint, we've been doing this since 2017. Today, we have 1,200 trained AI models on our platform. Every day, 1.3 petabytes, sorry, 3 petabytes of data is processed. And 1.3 million decisions, AI-enabled decisions, are made on our platform by our enterprise customers every quarter. Almost 80% of identities our customers are managing and governing and securing with the SailPoint platform are done assisted by AI. So AI is not a buzzword for us. The benefits of AI around enhanced user experience, around automation, around productivity, all of that is coming to bear for our customers, for SailPoint customers. And just to give you a flavor of how customers are using AI in the context of identity security, I'll give you an example. You have a new employee join the organization, and then you are wondering, you ask the manager, okay, what applications does this new employee need to have? Oh, I'm not sure. AI runs models, create models of access, and makes recommendations to help you do that. And if over time that access changes, perhaps the employee has changed roles. Perhaps you were CFO before, and you access to all the company's financial data, and then you decided that you want to be a marketing officer, and you shift to you're the CMO. Somebody needs to remember to remove your access to the financial data and give you access to customer data, all sensitive data. AI role models, all of that makes recommendations, and in fact, AI also detects outliers. If somebody's access looks off compared to 99% of their peers, they seem to have access to an application or piece of data that the peers don't have access to. So these are anomalies, these are outliers. AI is used to drive those anomalies out and highlight the risks so that enterprises that can then follow up to mitigate those risks. We've been using Gen AI to auto-populate entitlement descriptions as well. So a lot of time when I say, I'm giving you access to Salesforce, SFDC, right? But what access are you getting to? Many of these in the systems are cryptic. So we use Gen AI to populate descriptions in there. And I'll show you in just a bit, we are using agentic AI, digital agents, to help identity security teams do their job faster, more effectively as well. So at the moment, talk about machine identities. Did a survey, and nearly 70% of enterprises we interviewed told us today they actually have more machine identities than they do have human identities. And the traditional approach to identity security is I'm going to secure all my workforce, all my employees and their access and all that. But lo and behold, many of these enterprises have actually got more machine identities than humans. And in fact, 47% have 10 times more machine identities. So if you think you're securing your organizations by securing your workforce identities, you're not addressing the entirety of the problem. What is the problem? Machine accounts. Machine accounts, over time, the developers are happy building applications, doing automation, to create service accounts, to access data, no visibility. No central visibility of where those machine identities are. When you have no visibility, you have no ownership. You don't know who owns those accounts. And when you don't know who owns those accounts, security teams are hesitant to remove access. Because for fear, if I remove the access, the whole system goes down. So the risk is elevated. And the processes are cumbersome. Machine identity is a problem area for many enterprises today, including those here in the Philippines. And at SailPoint, machine identity security, we deploy the platform and tool to automatically discover, to categorize those machine accounts, classify them, ensure there's visibility, and therefore, when the auditors, when the regulators come at you to check if your identity is secure, you have a solution to help you with that. Agentic AI. So many of us have interacted with digital agents. Many enterprises are deploying digital workforce, digital agents to do customer service, answer simple queries, and all of that. It's rolling out in customer service in a big way. At SailPoint, last quarter we have announced the deployment of 2 digital agents on the SailPoint platform to help identity security teams do their job more effectively and faster. These two initial agents are the documentation agent and the workflows agent. Documentation agents ensures that you have, as an identity security, as a cyber practitioner, you have the ability to get information, to get documentation through simple conversational prompts. Now I'll show you how that works. And then of course also workflows generated today. Identity security teams can use conversational prompts, simple language conversational prompts, and have workflows built for them. Right, where previously they needed to build them from scratch. Agentic AI agents on the SailPoint platform, we call Harbor Pilot, can do that. A little quick demo. Right? So if you ask Harbor Pilot how many aggregations have occurred since January 1st, it pulls that information, provides it to you. That user experience is like ChatGPT. And then you go, how do I automatically assign a role to people in the accounting department? In the old days, the person would go and research the documentation, search for the answers, maybe even raise a ticket, and then get the information. Today, you just ask Harbor Pilot pulls that information for you. And then if you say, if a provisioning failed, I want to send an email to the application owner. Somebody will, okay, let's see, how do I do that? I've created a workflow, I've created triggers, actions, and all that. Today, ask Harbor Pilot, the entire workflow is created for you in seconds. That's how powerful agentic AI is and deployed in the identity security context. And at SailPoint, we're just getting started on this. I'm going to pivot in the next section to a question I get very often from enterprises that I speak to, from CIOs, from CISOs that I speak to, and that is, hey, Eric, I get it, identity security is important, but where am I going with this? How mature do I need to be? How do I compare with my industry peers? So the whole idea of identity security maturity, where you are on that, becomes a topic for many enterprises. And at SailPoint, 3 years ago, we launched the Horizons of Identity Security report. This is available online, you can download it. Essentially what it does is, we look at the state of identity security, and we define that state, right, with five horizons. So we simplify it for executives to understand that in identity security, maturity, there are 5 horizons. In Horizon 1, essentially, it's a fragmented identity security experience across the organization. Nobody has a centralized view or a holistic view of who has access to what in the entire organization. In Horizon 2, you start to centralize that. You have a view. You know who the identities are, and you know what access they have, but it's mostly manual. In Horizon 3, organization starts to digitalize all of that, automate that. And in Horizon 4, they start to deploy more advanced tooling, right, like AIML. And in Horizon 5, right, and it's extended beyond the enterprise, it's a unified experience. So these became kind of the 5 horizons that we benchmark. And enterprises, they go online, they do a survey, we interview them based on responses. They know which horizons they are on their identity security journey. Then that informs them. If I'm in Horizon 1, do I want to get to Horizon 2? Or do I want to go to Horizon 4, leapfrog there? So many This provided a common language for us to discuss what organizations needed to do to be safe and what matters to them in their context. And in the next couple of slides, I'm just going to talk through the 3 years. What were some of the key themes? What were some of the key findings, right, that generated a lot of interest within enterprises? The first year was 2023 when we launched it. No surprises. A lot of the enterprises we interviewed told us that a proper identity security platform program allowed them to mitigate risk, enhance their ability to meet compliance, and drive efficiencies. Right? Mitigating risk means that they were able to detect and address identity threats more quickly, right? reducing the incidence of data breaches and cyber incidents. Compliance, of course, the amount of time and effort needed to build out compliance reports, regulatory reporting, that was slashed with automated tools from an identity security platform. And then thirdly, efficiencies. A lot of the self-service automation just means that the provisioning, deprovisioning, change of passwords, all of those could be done self-service, automated. It saved organizations a lot of money in terms of effort and resources, driving productivity up. So those were the core themes in 2003 when we interviewed enterprises, were the drivers. That's the benefit they got out of it. And that's why they embarked on identity security programs. In year 2, we looked at it and said, if you saw in the earlier chart, nearly half of all enterprises we interviewed were still in Horizon 1 and 2. Early days, very few in Horizon 3 and 4. Even though when we spoke to all enterprises, everybody acknowledged the importance and the need to embark on identity security, secure their identities. What was holding them back? The awareness, the understanding of identity security, the ability to secure budgets, the ability to get executive sponsorship and buy-in. Those were the key barriers we found in year 2 of the survey. And the most recent survey, 2025, we discovered that enterprises that make the leap from Horizon 1 to Horizon 4 or 5, they actually derive outsized benefits, returns on their investments. And this is calculated from total economic value along 3 value pools. One, of course, was the reduction in risk, right, the avoidance of incidents, and the cost of managing those incidents. 2 was around productivity, the automation, which means that you can drive efficiency gains from their investments. And of course, the third one, interestingly, coinciding with, I think, the uptake in digitalization. A strong security foundation allows organizations to grow at pace, at speed. They were able to go to market much faster when they had robust identity security platform in place.
Sorry, year 3 is 2025?
That's right, year 3 is 2025. A couple of other insights I thought was interesting and insightful from the most recent report was organizations who were on Horizon 3 or Horizon 5 who were more advanced. They were adopting AI a lot more than organizations that weren't. And in adopting AI more extensively, they were able to automate workflows. They were able to automate onboarding, making the whole employee experience so much more palatable. They were also using AI to do automatic real-time monitoring of access. So adoption of AI tied to horizons of the horizons of identity security. And then the interesting one on the right-hand side was 73% of survey respondents indicated that a proper, robust identity security posture helped them save on cyber insurance premiums. It was one of top 3 factors in determining how much in cyber insurance they were paying. So that drove some level of interest in the last report. And then I'm going to round up. So those were the key themes from the identity security. Sorry, question. So those were three key themes I picked up from the Horizons of Identity Security report. Next, I'll talk a little bit about two customers um, who spoke well of SailPoint. Aboitiz, we helped them deploy identity security and Aboitiz is a techno conglomerate in the Philippines, diversified businesses, many different business units, employees, identities, different application systems. They had a challenge in managing identities. They worked with SailPoint to consolidate into a single identity and access management program. Simple things like a new employee joining it used to take 21 days, 5 days to activate user accounts. Today, the new employees get their access on day one. When an employee resigns, leaves the organization, it used to take 21 days to fully deactivate and remove all the applications access. With SailPoint, on the day they leave, all access deactivated, enhancing the security posture of Aboitiz. Uh, before SailPoint, less than 5 business units were managed centrally, governed centrally. After SailPoint, all 47 business units and across 23 employee identities, all managed and governed. The next one, I'll let the customer speak for himself. This is Globe. Oh, so Globe, a customer of SailPoint, deployed it for their identity operation. Let's hear from Globe.
Hi, my name is Brad Bernales. I am the Director of Workplace Technology under Globe.com. Globe is a digital solutions platform. We have over 8,300 employees and over 1.1 million retailers, distributors, and business partners nationwide. We currently have over 90 million customers. We work with various partners, and vendors, and managed services, and even regular employees working at home, which relies heavily on accesses to the right systems. When we started looking into this, we actually saw that we had an issue providing the right resources and the right accesses. With the identity and access governance of SailPoint solution that we have, we were able to control this wherever they are. Because of identity security, we've been able to provide the right access to the right user at the right time. SailPoint was the provider that actually showed us how it will work, how it will be implemented right there in front of us. That even one of the stakeholders were actually teary-eyed because finally somebody showed it in front of everyone. In a matter of hours, we were able to deploy it and we were able to see that it's working for us. And that led actually to say that SailPoint might be the solution for Globe. The benefits of this new identity program in Globe was greater efficiency and onboarding processes. We were able to provide the right access to the users on day one. Before, it took us 19 days or about weeks or so, and that's a great improvement in terms of our onboarding process. We were able to deprovision the accounts on time. If the employee contract ends today, tomorrow the access is gone. We were able to reduce the risk, specifically on providing high or we call least privileges access to the right users. The product in itself is really great. It's easy to maintain, and we're using on top of a cloud-based solution also. So it's an advantage on our end. I would also say that the product has been increasingly providing more features over the past 2 years. So I'm really excited what's going to happen further in the identity solution, and hopefully, we'll be part of this move towards a better identity across the internet or across the globe. The move to digital was very easy with SailPoint. Now we have 5 systems integrated with it, core systems that we have for provisioning identities. Furthermore, because of this identity governance and even with SailPoint, we now have an identity access management council within the organization that unifies our intentions of how identity access should be within the organization. So it's not just about satisfactory on the certain solution or product, but more of how it influenced us to be more digital savvy in terms of security and also cybersecurity um, forefront in everything that we do. The future is bright for identity because of SailPoint.
Awesome. We also have a video of Aboitiz CISO on our website where she talked about how identity security and SailPoint is enhancing security posture for Aboitiz. But I thought we'll do the globe one there. I'll close by restating that SailPoint is a market leader in identity security. We've been helping the largest, most complex organizations globally address their identity security needs with our unified, intelligent, and extensible platform. Um, just give you a sense of while we're on the topic of customers, um, nearly half of the Fortune 500 global largest organizations are SailPoint customers, and a quarter, thereabouts, of the Forbes Global 2000 are SailPoint customers. Typically, uh, the telcos, the banks, the regulated industries, they trust SailPoint to address their identity security needs because we provide that innovative unified platform powered by AI that can help them address their identity security challenges today and well into the future. With that, I wrap up. Thank you very much.